Hi, I'm Peter Brusso for 101 Small Business Mastermind, and I have with me Frank Syringa today. Say good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Frank.
All right, we are ready to rock and roll here. Let me put up. Well, let me just explain. I have this new sensei type from Chicago, Steve Shelton, and he's going to start his own business and do a bunch of stuff, and he's talking to some guy about his website and whatnot. And they're going to start, he's upgrading his blog. And I said, whoa, upgrading a blog. What do you mean upgrading a blog? And I said, is it a blog on your website? Yes. And I said, do you know you need to be offsite blogging as well? No, didn't know about that. The other guy didn't even mention it. So I thought, hey, this is this week's lesson. Why do you need two blogs? So let me bring up and share my screen here. I'm going to share my screen, and this is really important for everybody. So on an on-site blog, what it does, number one, is it adds new content to your website, and Google likes that. Most websites go up and they're static. They think, okay, that's all I have to do, and Google sees that, and then there's no new content. Remember, Google's job is content and spidering content. Without new content, new food, they're not going to come back and see you. So on-site blogging certainly does allow you to add content. The site looks active, it's growing, it's very positive. Also, second thing is you can add more keywords to your website via your blogging. So the first round of keywords in a website, typically, and you do these about every 3 months, you start adding new keywords, and it's like an onion. You're just adding layers upon layers of keywords and utilizing them expertly at the 8 different locations on your website. And blogs can certainly help you do that. So it can bring more traffic. Clearly, with Google coming to see the new content, eating up these new keywords, and the keywords have to be scientifically designed, as we've talked about many times. The other thing that Google looks at a website and, do you have off-site links? That means you're connecting outside of your little microcosm to other people, networking, so to speak. They like that. They also like interior links when you link to other content inside your page, inside your site. They like that a lot. So this all starts to add authority to your website, which gives you page ranking and preferability to what Google was going to come back and take a look at you with. The other thing, it does connect you to your visitors. If they actually get a hold of you and they start reading your blogs, they like that. And with that connection, you can then convert your visitors to clients. So that's what the real goal of an on-site blog is. So why do you need an off-site blog? Well, you need your keywords out there someplace. Now let me tell you about off-site blogging. You usually use blogger.com. Blogger.com is owned by Google. You don't even get a chance to post your blog on blogger.com, or just after you post it, it's already been spidered, it's already been digested by Google automatically. So you put your keywords in there, Google takes notice of all of that, you give links back to your website, it sees that, and you give, and even more importantly, give links to the inside pages of your website. Now, do you really care if anybody reads your offsite blog? Absolutely not. The only person you care about reading your offsite blog is Google. And so therefore the strategy of offsite blogging is to get Google to gobble up your keywords and your links. The strategy play on on-site blogging is to add more keywords, more content, and get a connection with your visitors. And with that, that's the 411, as they say, the intel on everything you wanted to know about blogging. I'll quit sharing now.
I have questions.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that.
Really?
I thought I didn't. Again, shame on me. I thought if the blog is a pain in the neck. So
Oh, it is.
you have a WordPress plugin, you do a blog, and then you got to do another one. The way you described it, and we're all beholden to Google. We know that because of the search
Oh,
engine.
absolutely. 800-pound gorilla.
It is. It is. Damn, that makes so much sense, and I had no idea. Now, this Blogger I'm going to assume is Blogger.com free?
Yes.
How do people find you on Blogger.com?
Well, again, let me show you this. All right. Now, this is my Blogger account, and you can see, I've got views of 103, 144, 119 of these particular blog posts, right? I'm actually one of them you're in. One that we have 85 views of it, terror attack at San Bernardino. But what I want to show you is, I don't know if you can see it, but here's all my blogs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 blogs that I run simultaneously.
Separate blogs?
Yes.
Holy cow, you spend all day doing blogs.
Yes, but they're all targeted at different things. One-on-one marketing is one of the ones we have. My Adventures in Second Life, my martial arts, Be Safe at College, that's the Defenders pointed one. Doomsday Preppers, Defended. G2 Radio, that's about veterans. Home Self-Defense, again, Defenders blog. So I have multiple blog channels, and last week's lesson, as you remember, was about the marketing wheel. And so you utilize these blogs basically to make sure that you can get Google traffic, and all these links are coming from various blogs back into your website. Let's zip over here. I've got this ready to go, but if we go back to the Defenders here, and I have an Onsite blog here, right here. Now, here's a big caution. Everybody gets lazy. They'll write an Onsite blog, and then they go turn around and copy all that information and put it up on Blogger. You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. And so, this particular blog thing we have here is pretty cool, but you can click on the blog, and all the stuff that's on here and you see I have my keywords underlined, highlighted, italicized, and bolded to make sure that Google knows that these are what I want to be ranked for. A lot of people say, oh, they don't do that anymore. By the way, you always embed a video if you can in your blogs. That's really, really good. So, the strategy play is very big when it comes down to, and here's a self-defense weapons. Again, I got a draft up here I've got to do, but when you write these blogs, they got to be different. Here's a video that I embed. They've got to be different than what you have on your website. Otherwise, it's duplicate content, and you can actually get yourself delisted from Google if you're not careful. So how about those?
How do you come up with content for separate blogs on a weekly basis?
Easy. Whatever you write on one, you can then rewrite it. You have it open in two, so you can read it, and you just rewrite it in a different way.
So you can't copy and paste, but you can reword. You can
that's correct.
Now, if I resequence, I can do that too, right? As long as...
No, it has to be different. Sentence structure, words, everything.
But the main topic can be the same. Just
absolutely. It's all the same thing. Keywords can be the same, but it has to be uniquely different. There is a service that I belong to that it's called Spin Rewriter. We should probably look. We've looked at that in the past, but I should probably make a note.
You mentioned it, yeah.
Spin Rewriter. By the time you end up finagling around with Spin Rewriter, you might as well have just rewritten the whole thing anyway. But
I can't tell you the last time I finagled. I love that word. I hadn't heard that word in years.
I tell you, I'm dating myself, but I was glad Heather today, new Reader's Digest version as a millennial.
Oh, for the sake of our audience, who's Heather?
Yeah, tell her who's Heather. Who's Heather?
She's a new entrant, a new member of our group, Rebels, Misfits, and Mavericks, and she was a big plus to our meeting.
Yes,
A
absolutely.
big plus with information, inspiration, and ideas, and we thank her for that.
So you can now see the different blogging strategy plays that you've got to do. And that's why people hire people to do nothing but blogging, like Heather talked about.
And you just had a great, and I'm always picking out keywords. You used a keyword this morning about dream. But I picked another keyword. When you, I've got a website.
Yes.
I don't do blogging.
Nope.
The keyword is got. You got to do it.
You got to do it.
I got to do it.
Well, if you want traffic, you got to do it.
Okay, well, why the hell have a website without traffic? You know, it's like having a steak without a knife and a fork.
Why have a website that you have a blog on the website that nobody visits anyway?
Right,
That's
right.
so good.
You got to do it. Yeah. Now, okay, my mind won't stop here. Now, does a blog have to be a certain length to be accepted by Google?
Yes, 300 words or more.
Really?
Yes. Otherwise, it's too short. It's not significant content.
Ooh, that's important information. So when you're thinking and working on your blog, you use word count out of Google.
Oh no, it's better than that. Let me show you. Let me get up here and log in. Okay, I'm in. I'm going to my blogs. You have they're called posts in WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's a list of posts. Here's our new neck lanyard. Okay, and I've got a green indication, means I've optimized it. But let's just take a look at it. When you start to write a post in WordPress, and you include your pictures, and on the pictures you make sure you have your captions, all those things we always talk about.
Right,
But you see over here, I've got categories I can put it into, which are like keywords. All right. And as I come down here, I've got lots of pictures, and everyone's got an underline to, or a caption to it. A defender is the key person here. Lanyard over there. Here's some more. I also have a video linked in here. But as we go down, this is all individually written. So this is how it's going to show up, which is important. And then down here, which I'm missing, meta descriptions should have those. But down here it is. Here's your keyword you want to be known for. Here's a readability thing. So here's your keywords, and it's going to tell me, hey, here's all the good stuff. Here's the improvement areas you can work on. And see, this is no meta description. That's a problem, and I need to fix that. On the far right, tags are keywords. So I've got my tags going on in there. And so it sets, and I didn't do a featured image, and I should do a featured image always on these blogs. Let me just fix that whilst we're in here. And I think that's what I want to do. No, new neck lanyard. That's what I want to do, is a new neck lanyard. We'll use that one. Oh, that's not the right one. That's the right one. Okay. And it's going to put that down here. And I might as well fix this. Learn all about the self-defense weapon new neck lanyard, so you can carry your self-defense weapon at the ready. Okay. And I'm going to update.
This is all part of that WordPress plugin.
Yes. Yes. And so whether you like it or not, and we can preview the darn thing and see what it looks like. So we can go back and forth, but it's so important that you get this going on. And you see what it does is it takes my picture and whacks it out. I need to fix that. That's fine for the moment. That is template driven by whatever WordPress template you use. But anyway, and you can see all this stuff, and I'm running recent posts down the side. It knows I'm logged in, and I did this Defender of my cart. I wanted to make sure it was working properly. But you can see how nice this is. One of the suggestions that I used for Heather today, are you using a Weber, which allows you to gather emails and then allows you to put out, emails in increments at 1 week, 5 weeks, 10 weeks out automatically without doing anything. And videos, they love videos. So here you go. So this is how it looks, and here's how people leave a comment, so it looks very nice that way. But that's the importance of understanding why and how you blog and where you blog and why. A website alone by itself is like a long distance runner. Using social media, which is a blog, in this case Blogger, puts them in the race for people to run into it. And every blog I put out, I also connect over to my social media but via Hootsuite, which probably have a topic on Hootsuite, and that automatically schedules and puts it out across all my social media platforms with one press of one button.
Because I have to think in analogies. Let me give you an analogy of what I think I just learned.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, thank you for sharing. This has been awesome. I have a website, franksringa.com. Very proud of it. And again, you were a big help with that. I'm going to use the analogy. My website is like having money in my mattress. I know it's there. It's safe. I can look at it anytime I want. Not many other people are going to look at it unless they know where my mattress is. Okay. If I were to do blogging, it's like taking the money in my mattress and put it into a compound interest account.
Oh, beautiful.
You like that?
I love that.
Can
I steal that?
Please do. You honor me when you plagiarize. It just makes your money that much more valuable and more visible. I got to do blogging. In fact, I'm excited about it now. I was excited. I got excited twice today. I'm meeting, as I told you this morning, at the end of my meeting, our meeting. I was excited about it. I really got a lot of energy out of this morning's meeting. I loved it. And now I've got more energy from the blogging. Thank you. I did not appreciate the value of blogs until today. And shame on me, not you. Shame on me for not realizing that.
Well, as we talk about it, I talk about it, the clients, they think a website and keywords with the website, that's all they need to do. And that's only half the story. Matter of fact,
Right.
It's probably a third of the story, quite frankly. The rest of your time is taken up by blogging, increasing, your website, and also the offsite blogging and your social media, which you then use Hootsuite to post out over all of that.
Plus blogging, again, we go back to the analogies. Blogging is like, how the bread you baked this morning, man, it smells good and it's so fresh, it's awesome. In 3 days, that sucker's old and stale and hot as a rock.
Absolutely.
A blog is fresh bread for your website.
So as you're doing your...
By the way, that was a gem. You just missed that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. But I failed to tell you that. But as you're filling out your blog post in WordPress, it automatically tells you how many words you've got down here.
Okay.
Okay, it's kind of small,
but 300 is the key number.
Yeah, over 300 is the key number.
Okay.
I do some less than that because I'm really trying to present a video, but theoretically by Hoyle, hey, that's another one. A lot of people don't know who Hoyle is.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Hoyle says that you have to be 300 or plus. And by the way, down here, this SEO plugin will tell you whether you see, it says here your text contains 761 words. The minimum recommended is 300 words. Okay. It tells you the goal.
Okay, all right, that's good stuff.
Yeah, so that's good. Let's go back to what you were saying about the bread.
Yeah.
The bread is when you bake your website, you get a loaf of bread, but if you don't blog, 3 days later,
it's old and stale and hard, and every time you blog, it's more fresh bread for your website.
Absolutely.
And people are attracted to fresh bread.
If you think about Google as a spider, you're feeding the spider. Your
Okay.
blogging is food for the spider.
Wow.
And that's what they need for their business model. So you're feeding them exactly what they need, which is what we call white hatting it, okay, versus black hats. Black hats try to fool Google, where white hat programmers like myself try to give Google and play by the rules what they want that's important for them, so I can showcase my stuff that's important for them. And by the way, YouTube, I'm tying it another piece in there. YouTube's owned by Google, right? So I'm putting up a video, which is food for them there, but I'm also tying it over on the Blogger, their other platform. So I'm cross-platforming two Google platforms together. I'm double Googling it.
And Google encourages you to do that. You're not gaming this system.
Correct.
I'm
I'm using one platform to add content to the other platform, and it's just wonderful.
Google's happy and you're happy.
Oh, absolutely. Google's ecstatic with how I'm doing that.
Isn't that the term win-win?
That is a win-win, and I get traffic for it.
With no Steve involved. I love that.
Even though they throttle me back on my website for traffic, I get traffic on the
but that's because
politics.
You're in a taboo thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a taboo thing.
Okay.
With weapon.
Peter, that was man. I'm still jazzed about that. I am reacting. My mind is spinning right now.
Yeah, well, I think these are the kinds of things I think we can bring the misfits and all the people that come, you know.
That's in 2 weeks from today, our next meeting.
Right.
I think we've got to add that to our please do what you did here today, and let's everybody there either has or wants to have a website.
You know what we ought to do? You ought to let me do a 1 minute synopsis of the previous week's a podcast, so I can cover my time.
I love it.
And then, where do they get more? Just go to the website.
Like you're giving two, because we do 2 podcasts before the next meeting.
Right, something like that.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, I love it.
We can put me on the agenda to be the podcast overview for everybody.
You're on the agenda.
Okay.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay.
All right. Any more questions on blogging?
No. I'm jazzed. I am so psyched right now. I can't believe it.
Then,
whoa! I love that music. We call it the Twin. This week in the news, which we've been using for now a few years. These are people. In fact, as I described it this morning at a meeting, these are people who did some special things by being different. And I'm going to talk anyway. So I pick out people, everyday people, some more famous than others, some not famous at all. Most you've never heard of, and I'd like to tell their story and then come up with lessons of what we can learn. And this week's Twin is about a lady named Kara Golden.
Kara, who is Kara?
Kara Golden. I'm glad you asked there, Mr. Karnak. Kara is the youngest of 5 children, and she grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona. Her mother worked in a local department store, and her father worked for ConAgra Foods. Now, you may not recognize his name, Mr. Golden. I don't even know his first name. But you have probably heard of the successful product he developed for ConAgra Foods. There was a line of healthy meals called Healthy Choice. That he created that for them, okay? At the age of, so Kara has some good genes there, good genes. At the age of 14, Kara got her first job. So, she wasn't into MTV. She was into doing stuff. And she got her first job working at a local toy store. Well, after a few weeks in the job, Kara's talent was there, evident for everybody. And after a few weeks, she was asked to assist with the purchasing of goods, toys, for the entire store at the age of 14. Kara went to Arizona State University, graduated from there, and got a job work in New York City, Scottsdale to New York City, working for Time Inc. So Kara moved to New York City, and she worked in the circulation department at Time. And again, Kara showed her talent. She started out as an EA, an executive assistant, and she worked her way up to managing the airline circulation for Time Inc. publications. Kara was then transferred to CNN. Remember the Time Warner CNN thing? Was transferred to CNN to work in advertising. And while working at CNN, she met this gentleman who turned out to be, he was an attorney. He'd be her future husband. They got married and they moved to San Francisco. So now Kara was from Scottsdale to New York City, Time and CNN, meets the guy and moves to San Francisco. In San Francisco, Kara got a job working for a startup. It was called 2 Market, the number 2 in the market. It was a computer-based shopping idea developed by some guy you probably never heard of. His name was Steve Jobs. This was his baby. And Kara was the national sales manager for 2 years at this 2 Market company until they were bought out from AOL. So Kara goes from Time to CNN to 2 Market. Now she's working for AOL. And at AOL, Kara was named Vice President of Shopping and E-commerce Partnerships, while her husband, an intellectual property attorney, was working at a company called Netscape. At AOL, Kara again showed her talent. Kara was responsible for growing the revenues of her division to over $1 billion per year. That's Kara. In 2001, AOL was acquired by Netscape, her husband's company. And Kara says, you know what? Time for me to change my focus. She left the workforce to focus around raising her family. So her husband's an IP attorney at AOL/Netscape, and Kara says, I've had it. I'm going to take off. Well, after her 3rd child, Kara got restless. And she says, you know what? I want to devote my energy and my time to doing something special. And I guess following in her dad's footsteps, she says, I want to create and live a healthy lifestyle for myself and my family. Remember, her dad did create Healthy Choice. And here's what Kara states. Let me tell you right where she was at the time. She said, and this is her words, her exact words. She said, I had just had my 3rd child. I was exhausted. I was 50 pounds overweight. 50. She's not that big a girl. And for the first time in my life, I had developed terrible adult acne. She says, I got to do something. Kara's an achiever, as you can tell. So Kara went to the doctors and says, Doc, what am I doing wrong here? Help me out. Exhausted, 50 pounds, and I got acne. Come on. I'm not a teenager. Well, the doctors did their analysis. They said, Kara, you have a hormonal imbalance. And they prescribed drugs to balance her hormones. Kara says, okay. Kara doesn't take stuff at face value. So before she took any drugs, Kara says, I'm going to do my own analysis. And she examined her daily food and beverage intake. And Kara discovered 2 things. Most of the food that Kara consumed either contained sugar or some kind of sugar substitute. She says, oh. But it was when Kara examined her beverage intake that Kara made a shocking discovery. Kara was consuming 10 to 12 cans per day of Diet Coke. Diet Coke. To say that Kara was addicted to Diet Coke would be a major understatement. But Kara says, so what? How bad can Diet Coke be? It's Diet Coke. And when Kara investigated the ingredients in Diet Coke, which she had never done before, but she did her thing, she did not know what most of them were, but she did note that there was a sugar substitute with a weird name on it. And that's when Kara realized that the main goal of the food and beverage industry, which her dad came from, was not to keeping you healthy, but to keeping you buying more of their product. And this is her analysis. She says, food and beverage companies push the perception that the following descriptive terms are what matter. Diet, we see that in everything. Low fat, no sugar added, and you better count your calories. And Kara says, baloney. He says, you know what matters? is the ingredients that you ingested, that you put into your body. What are you putting into your body? That's what matters. So Kara did what I call the Kara thing. She did things her way like she had always done. And she says, that's it. I will not drink Diet Coke anymore. And along with some other changes to her diet. She threw out all the cans of Diet Coke in her home. You can imagine she had quite a few because she was doing 10 to almost 2 6-packs a day. And she drank healthy. She drank water. Nothing but water, water exclusively. And it was difficult because she was addicted to Diet Coke and whatever caffeine is in there, I guess, and the sweetness. But the longer she went without drinking Diet Coke, the less she missed Diet Coke. She says, I'm doing the right thing. She struggled, but she says, and at the end of 3 months, Kara had lost 45 pounds. She never drank, or would she ever give her family Diet Coke or any other canned soda again. But as many of us have discovered who have done this, drinking plain water is really, really boring. So Kara again did what I call the Kara thing. She went to her favorite store, which was Whole Foods, and she bought some fresh fruit. She came home, cut up the fresh fruit and put different pieces of strawberries and whatever she bought for fruit and put into containers of water and put in a refrigerator. Her family came in, take a sip of that cold water with the fruit in it, and they loved it. They said, man, this is really good. It's not water, which is boring as hell. It has some kind of flavor, a flavor that I recognize. Her family had kicked the unhealthy canned soda habit. And Kara says, there might be a business opportunity here. But then something else happened. When her kids played in the neighborhood, they would take containers, carafes, whatever it is, of this fruit-flavored water with them. And when they took a sip, what would happen? The kids would say, hey, what are you drinking? And they gave those kids a sip. And it wasn't long before Kara would get phone calls from the neighborhood parents. Hey, Kara, my child just came home and raved about this special drink that your kids had. Where can I buy this drink? And Kara thought, there is a business opportunity here. And then Kara did the Kara thing again. She's an analyst. She says, is there viability in starting a beverage company? She wasn't working. She kind of missed all that stuff. So, but Kara had some advantages that we don't have. Through her connections working at AOL, CNN, and Time Warner, Time, which became Time Warner. She had a connection, and she had the opportunity to have a phone conversation with an executive at the largest beverage company in the world, Coca-Cola. The guy says, yeah, Kara, I know what you're doing. Yeah, I'll give you some time. She got on the phone with this guy. She says, this is awesome. And she says, hey, I got an idea of starting my own beverage business, selling fruit-infused water that has no chemicals, no sugar substitute, and no preservatives. What do you think? And the guy went off. And he went on and on and on, telling Kara all the reasons why doing he called it a fantasy, was not a good idea. I don't know if he called it dumb, but he says, Kara, don't do this. And the more he spoke, the more Kara was convinced she wanted to do it. Again, that's the Kara thing. Go left, she goes right. But what really pushed Kara over the edge was how this gentleman, who was nice enough to give her time, this Coca-Cola executive, how he ended their phone conversation. And these are the words as Kara remembers it. And it was only 7 words. He said, sweetie, America is in love with sweet. And they ended the conversation. Kara got off the phone and had 2 reactions. First one was, sweetie, how condescending, you jackass. How condescending. But number 2 says, you know what? As long as the worldwide leader in beverages believes that America was in love with sweet, she was convinced that there had to be millions of people who would love to drink something different. And Kara had something different. And Kara says, we're going to start my own beverage company. Beautiful. Kara does the Kara thing again. She says, well, let me talk about the problems, the viability of starting. What do you do to start a beverage company? And she did her research, which she loves to do. And she says, oh, crap. I've got 3 major problems. Problem number 1, shelf life. Since Kara insisted that her fruit-flavored water contained no preservatives, her water would not have an acceptable shelf life. And everything she says, she had to add preservatives to make a shelf life a viable product. She says, I'm not going to do that. I won't do it. So she kept on researching. She says, Kara, there's something you can do without adding preservatives that will give your water a shelf life acceptable to stores. It's called pasteurization, heating process. So Kara decided that she would be the first pasteurized water in the beverage industry. Problem number 1, solved. Problem number 2, okay, Kara, now you got to go shelf life. There's something called shelf space. And Kara found out there were over 2,000 beverages in the marketplace, 2,000 different beverages. And you know what each one of those 2,000 beverages wanted? The same thing, shelf space. They all needed that shelf space. And it was an all-out war, especially between the giants, Pepsi and Dasani and Coke and Mountain, all those other guys. And they all had deep pockets to pay the millions of dollars for slotting fees to acquire and hold on to their shelf space. Well, Kara did not have deep pockets to compete. But she had a workaround, an idea. And she says, you know what, for now, I'm just going to shelve this problem. I know it won't stop me. She tabled that problem. Problem number 3. She needs a company name. Names are critical. When you're in a consumer business, names are critical. So her and her husband tossed around different names, but they couldn't agree on a name. They just couldn't agree. And Karen said, she did her mind thing. She said, let me think out loud. She says, my water is special and different, and the kids love it and the family love it because it has a hint of fresh fruit in it. She says, duh, let's call the company Hint Water. And Kara's husband, and it being an IP attorney, says, Kara, great idea, but there is no way that a 4-character name like Hint would be available for trademark. She says, let's keep coming up with other alternatives. Kara did a Kara thing. She says, you know what? But what if it's available? Let's apply for the name Hint Water. He did, and it was available. Problem number 3, solved. So in 2005, Kara Golden launched her company called Hint Water.
In 2004, I began selling homemade fruit-flavored water out of my garage as a healthy, sugar-free drink alternative for my friends and neighbors. My name is Kara Golden, and I'm the founder and CEO of Hint Water, and this is my first dollar story. I realized that this could be a viable business. So I quit my day job, and with my husband, Theo, as Chief Operating Officer, I started Hint Water. I found the benefits on the Business Platinum card from American Express Open provided my business with the support I needed to grow. It might not sound like much, but our first dollar spent on the card was on bottle caps, which has helped us just expand. Really excited to launch our e-commerce initiative. Beverage companies today don't typically sell direct to consumers. As we expand to more cities, I love having access to some airport lounges when I travel. When I step into a lounge, I get to decide what my priorities are while I'm waiting for a flight. Sometimes that means I'm hopping on a video conference. Other times, I'll just wait to get a bite to eat. It's nice to have a little bit of control over my travel experience. The Business Platinum card can help put the way I travel back on my terms, which is good because there's a whole world out there that's waiting for Hint Water.
And oh, by the way, the day she launched, she was pregnant with her fourth child. And Kara challenged herself. She says, my goal is I want Hint Water on the grocery shelf before I go into labor for my 4th child. Whoa. 6 months, 7 months, 9, we know it's 9 months max. How is she going to do that? Kara loves a challenge. As I told you, her favorite store was the local Whole Food store. So she went in and she approached a gentleman who was stocking shelves at her Whole Foods. And she says, she says, where can I find your water? We sell water and water that has no preservatives and no sugar and is food-infused water. And he took her to the shelf. So here they are. There was vitamin water. She says, no, no, no. She said, that's not what I'm talking about. She says, I'm talking about fruit-infused water. She said, try it again. And he says, oh, we don't have anything like that. She says, aha, an opening. And she told the stock clerk that she was developing a product, and she described it. And she said to the clerk, hey, if I develop this product, will you put it on the shelf for me? And he says, okay, sure, lady. And she walked out. And she's thinking to herself, I'm sure he thinks I'm some kind of a nut, that I will never do it, but I'm taking him at his word. So Kara went home and started developing this thing called hint water. Remember, she had a time limit. Get it on a store shelf before she goes into labor. Kara developed a product, packaging and everything else, and the bottling, everything else. She's a doer. And son of a gun, the product was ready to sell the day she was scheduled to do her C. She was a C-section. She knew when she was going to go into labor that afternoon. And remembering that her promise to herself to get hint water on the shelf by the time she goes into labor, Kara said to her husband, before we go to the hospital, let's stop at our Whole Food store because I want to get hint water on the shelf before I deliver our son. And her husband says, really, Kara? He says, what are you, nuts? Why don't we just wait a week? It'll be fine. And Kara says, no, no. It'll make me feel better. Well, he did not want to upset a pregnant lady about to go into labor, so he drove her and 2 cases of hint water to that local food store, Whole Food store. They walk into Whole Foods with 2 cases of hint water. They walk in with stuff. And Kara approached the same stock clerk and says, hi, do you remember me? This may be a few months later. He looks at her and says, man, you are really pregnant, because she's going to deliver in a few hours. And she says, yeah, I know, right. She says, oh, by the way, I brought you 2 cases to put up on the shelf. And the clerk says, what the hell's going on? He thinks, what the hell's going on here? You know, he's got this puzzled look. She says to him, to the clerk, says, look, I'm actually delivering a baby this afternoon, so I may be out of pocket for a couple of days, so just call my cell phone. And the clerk says, wait, what do you want me to do? She said, what are you talking about? She said, well, I want you to put it on the shelf. You said that you were going to put it on the shelf if I developed a product, so here it is, I developed a product. And the clerk goes, oh. Kara and her husband hand him 2 cases of hint water, and they walk out to the hospital, walk out the door, and he drives her to the hospital. They had no idea what the guy was going to do, whether he would actually put it on the shelf or not. Kara goes to the hospital, has a seat, delivers her son. The next day, they're sitting in the hospital room, and her cell phone rings, and her husband answers, and she says, Kara says, who is it? And it's the guy from Whole Foods. He says, your product is gone, and Kara gets upset. She takes the phone from her husband and says, son of a gun. I don't know what she said. She says to the clerk, who took our product? Did one of those other beverage companies take it away so we couldn't sell it? And the clerk says, no, lady, it's sold out. When can we get more product? A few months after that, one of the Whole Food shoppers who had purchased hint water worked at Google. And he called Kara and he says, hey, Kara, Google is opening up a new building in Silicon Valley, and we're building a healthy kitchen and cafeteria for our employees. And I told them about your water. Can you supply us with hint water for Google? And as they say, the rest is history. What about that problem she tabled about shelf space? Remember I said about shelf space? Remember, Kara was successful in building an e-commerce division for AOL. So Kara says, I don't need shelf space. I'm going to sell hint water direct to consumer. That's what she did at AOL, e-commerce. And she does sell hint water on her website, hintwater.com, and also on Amazon. Now, if any grocery chain wants to stock hint water because customers like to buy it, they have to call Kara and ask her if they can stock hint water on their shelves. How's that for a turn of events? They're calling her. By the way, in our local area, I found Stater Brothers, Walmart, and CVS carry hint water. And since I am now a hint water fan, and I am big time, I only shop at Stater Brothers for my groceries. Kara has been named Fortune's list of the most powerful women entrepreneurs. Kara has been named the Forbes 40 woman to watch over 40, And Ernst & Young last year named Kara Golden Entrepreneur of the Year for Northern California. Not bad for a 14-year-old girl who started her career working at a local toy store. Kara Golden. So I looked at that, and I read her things, and I did my thing. I did the Frank thing. And I says, what are the 3 business lessons I can pick out for entrepreneurs? Lesson number 1, Kara noticed a problem and decided to solve it. When Kara started her career as 14 years old working at this toy store, or working at Time Inc. with airline circulation, or working at AOL doing the thing for e-commerce, she had no idea. She knew nothing about beverage. That wasn't her plan. Her success was building e-commerce at AOL. But when Kara had the problem of finding a healthy alternative to drinking sugar water, Kara said, there's a problem. I'm going to solve this problem myself. She filled the gap. Question, what problem have you noticed in your industry that you could solve? And why haven't you? Lesson number 2, Kara became obsessed with completing her mission, which is opening Hintwater. Once Kara decided to start a company called Hintwater, nothing was going to stop her, as I told you in the story. She had a mission to accomplish, start Hintwater, and I talked about that this morning. I compared Kara to a Navy SEAL. Can you imagine a Navy SEAL returning to his commander and say, hey, Commander, we couldn't complete our mission. The door was locked. They wouldn't open it for us. And I didn't have a key, so what do I do now? That would never happen. Kara had a problem in shelf life. She fixed it. Kara had a problem on getting the product on a store before labor. She solved it. What obstacle is stopping you from growing your business? I read a great quote this week that really hit me. And here's the quote. It was geared toward people that we want to talk to. I should have used this quote this morning. Here's the quote. If you have a problem that can be solved by you taking action, that is not your problem. The problem is you have a lack of will to succeed. You know the solution. It's you. You're the problem, not that obstacle. You are the problem. Kara doesn't let anything stop. She's a Navy SEAL. She finds a way or makes a way. And number 3, Kara knew her target market. She did not want to market to people who enjoy drinking Diet Dr. Pepper. Hey, if you're happy, continue it. Kara's marketer says, you know what? She wanted to target people who wanted a healthy alternative to canned soda, and targeted people who, for health reasons, wanted to drink more water but found it boring as hell. She gave them a flavored, healthy drink. Question is, who is your ideal prospect? Do you have a marketing campaign dedicated specifically to them? If not, why not? And that's my Kara Golden story for this week.
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Hintwater.
By the way, I was drinking something called Cascade, which had no calories, no sugar added. I looked at the ingredients. There's something called Sucralil, which is a sugar substitute. When I started drinking water, I had 1 bottle left in the refrigerator. It's still there. I'll keep it there as my motivator. I love Hintwater, and Seder Brothers has 4 flavors. I'm addicted to the peach. Oh God! You open the Hintwater, and it's like a bottle of wine. You take a sniff, and all you can smell is fresh peaches. And as you're drinking it, because the mouth of the bottle is bigger, you inhale as you're drinking the water. The peach goes through your nose. It is awesome. It is awesome. So anyway, so that's Hintwater.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. When you're talking about the water thing, on my diet, I drank a lot of water, and I've got my little, these thermal mugs are awesome, right?
Yes.
Keep cold all day long. And then I started with my soda machine, right? My soda stream. And so I make sparkling water, and then I cut fruit and stick it in there.
Bingo.
Then I got thinking, well, wait a second. Cut fruit isn't always available. Lots out here in the desert, mind you. One of the few things we do have is a lot of citrus. And so I got an air oven given to me, which also acts like a dryer. So I slice all my fruit now, and I dry it in this air oven I put it in a baggie, put it in the freezer. So when you pull them out, here's this essentially dehydrated chunk of citrus or whatever. Throw it in the water, rehydrates, and you got a
Awesome.
yeah, no. So I'm all about, well, when you're on a diet, you want to be drinking something. Water gets pretty darn boring. I can identify with that.
Now, have you gone back to drinking Dr. Pepper?
Occasionally.
Okay. Yeah. 'Cause I remember you were into.
Yeah, that and A&W.
You like Dr. Pepper?
Yeah,
You like Dr. Pepper?
A&W root beer. I mean, probably more of my favorite these days. But you know, and I do that once every 3 or 4 days, maybe.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You know, however, the more research I've done in stevia, Turvia and or stevia is actual plant. You know, I'm in the hydroponics. I want to grow stevia plants here. You just clip off a leaf. It's got all the sugar in the leaf. Put it in the water or put it in whatever. Yeah, in your coffee. But it's not synthetic like saccharin is and some of the other ones. But yeah, interesting. Now, question, and you don't have to go along with that, but you showed us a paper in the Misfits.
Yes.
Entrepreneurs, Misfits, and Mavericks. Are you willing to share that in a podcast?
Sure. Yeah. Why don't we do on our next podcast? I've identified. I think I got the paper right here. Matter of fact, the title of the paper is, and again, you can't see it, but the title of the paper is called "Why They Make Millions and You Don't." Okay. And it's again, I talk about why is Kara Golden making millions of dollars and you're not. Well, Kara is extremely. I'm at 14 to be involved in purchasing a whole store. She's an awesome talent, and I've watched her interviews, and she's so unassuming but so powerful. But I looked at other people, like talked about the pregnant 17-year-old high school dropout who makes money and that type of thing. And I talked about it this morning. One of the things I enjoy doing is taking the complex and simplifying it and then using analogies. That charges me up. And so I've identified 12 things that they do that you don't. And I will, we can talk about that in our next, as a matter of fact, our next podcast. Why don't we, why that can be my twin.
Which is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that can be my twin.
Okay.
Why the people I talk about, the twins, why they make millions and you don't, and I'll go over the 12 things that they do, and we can maybe spend a minute or two on each one.
Sure. No, that would be very valuable. We're going to have it as a download PDF too, that kind of thing.
Yeah, gladly do that. Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right, let me share my screen a second, and here we're going to do where in the world here.
Oh yes.
And I want to show a particular one. There's one in Chicago, but let me see. We did the beach one, I think, already. And here we go. Let's look at this one. Now here's a Defender in Baja, California.
Oh really? South of the border.
South of the border. And they were going down the coast and stopped and with their Defender and put it in a cactus.
Love it.
Which is really fun to see where these things show up. But
I love the colors. I love the colors. Oh, look at those yellows. That's beautiful. And the water in the background.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. The other thing I wanted to share with you is, as we talked about blogging and having different channels in the blogging world, right, for your product. Mm-hmm. We have, this is our 101 marketing channel, okay? We have our own channel. But more importantly, if I go to switch accounts, I have 9 different channels that I put videos up on. Same theory, okay?
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That is something.
This one I have, 685 subscribers to that particular channel. That's one of my main martial arts channels. And people watch that a lot. And if I go over to, I just signed in and I have to go over to my channel. And then and here they are, so they run along here and whatnot. So you can get an idea of. We can go play all, but we don't want to play any of them at all. But what we want to see is over. It's very strange how they've changed all this around. You can hardly get a chance to see everything, but here are all the various particular videos that I put up on this channel. You can see there's a fair number of it,
Mm-hmm.
and so you use these particular channels on purpose, clearly, to, and some are listed, some are unlisted, but this is how you can sell your stuff online and use a channel to do that, both market and allow people to sign in. And here's some up on the LVT marine stuff I've done. But anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do by channels that the same strategy is true for. Now this will expand you again. Now if you think about, you're going to have various blogs that target market, know your clients. Wasn't that one of the big things you're talking about today?
Know your target, yes,
Right,
yes.
know your target. Well, each one of those channels target a different group of people. So I was mentioning this morning to Heather, you need a membership site, because that targets different entry points for her products, and then they part her product out. In other words, cut the product up. You can get it all for $199.95, or you can get the two introductory ones. So let's get you through that first. You buy that for $9.95 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You cut the product up. And then on a membership site, you get people to pay you not just for the product, but the chance to be part of the site. And then what you do is you go get YouTube channels that are based on those product segments.
Aside from Alexa Von Tobler, I talked about 2 weeks ago, who had to go out and raise $1 million to do her financial thing. She had no choice. She needed engineers. And we know you guys are expensive as hell. Most of the people,
I'm proud of it.
Right? Most of the people bootstrapped the beginning of their company. YouTube is free.
It is.
Blog. Thank you for Blogger.com is free. There it is. Again, remember the quote I had? Well, the problem is I don't have to. No, the problem is you're not willing to do the damn work. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You notice the solution is called activity. Produce, create, launch, get off your ass and do something. That's the problem.
And on that same note, the big differential is I took those 2 years off to study how these internet marketing whiz kids, got all this money and had all this traffic. And I already knew how to build websites. So if you go get a website built, they build you a beautiful website, doesn't drive you any traffic. If you go to a social media person, they're going to do a social media channel that'll drive you traffic back to a website that doesn't convert anybody. What you really need to do is to be the internet marketing person for all of that. That's what you must learn to become. And you can bootstrap that too. At some place you're going to have to pay money, no doubt about it. You have to pay money for a good website.
Let me give you a bootstrap view from a different angle. And I'm going to use two names that you're familiar with, that I'm familiar with. Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. You all know who they are. Consider them geniuses. I do. I consider them geniuses. Bootstrap. Steve Jobs did not invent the internet. Al Gore did. Steve Jobs did not invent the
Al Gore did not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was unfair. Steve Jobs did not invent the telephone. Bell did that. Steve Jobs did not invent the mouse. Park did that, point and click thing.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk did not invent the car. Elon Musk did not invent electricity. But you know what they did? They combined stuff that was already there and created something. They created something out was already there. Again, I don't think Steve could ever invent a computer. Because Steve couldn't even, he had to have Wozniak do the boards, the motherboards. He didn't know how to do that. Bootstrap. Everything is there. Look around you. Put 2 things, 5 things together that know in a different way. There it is. And test it out. Get off your ass and do something. Everything you have, it's a Lego set, it's a Tinker Toys, it's whatever you want to call it. They're already there. Take it, put it together. Don't put it together like somebody else did because that already exists. Put it together the way you see it. You use a very key word with Marsha this morning. Dream about what you want. Oh, man, that word hit me so hard. Dream.
Yeah, you were not in the bathroom today at Coco's with myself and Reno, but I said, Reno.
Thank you, because I feel good.
Yeah, yeah, I know, a little weird, but I said, Reno, can you imagine Marsha going to one of your open houses, because he's a realtor, and singing about the house to whomever comes in? You sing about the living room. As she takes them to the bedroom, she sings about the bedrooms. Talk about an entertainment value. Plus, she's showcasing the particular property. Now, if there are 2 houses side by side, where one you go in and the person meets you and gives you the card and you walk around trying to imagine what the place might be, or the other one has this entertainment going on, which of the 2 would you choose?
That's why Reno said when we were leaving the restaurant, and I was waiting to pay my bill, and he stood behind me, and the same Reno that you were in the bathroom with,
right?
And he says, "Wow." I said, "What happened?" He said, "My head is still spinning from all the stuff we talked about this meeting." He said, "That was so strong and so." And Ken said the same thing. He said, "What a meeting this morning! I got so much stuff out of it." I said, "Wow." And I didn't realize that I know I got a lot of it. I mentioned that at the meeting when we closed the meeting. Don't you just love sharing ideas?
Oh, I do too.
I
like
get
making
so
ideas happen.
Oh, I get, so, again, I'm no Kara Golden, and I'll gladly admit that. But I love the challenge of saying, you know what, we can help you become different, special, and get your phone to ring. That's what it's all about. Get your phone to ring.
Yeah, I'm excited by that group. I love to help people, love to share.
Yes,
I love to see other people have success.
Isn't that wonderful?
That is, I don't think it gets better than that. Well, if they pay you to do that too, it probably gets better, but there you go.
Yeah.
So that's everything on my list. How about you? Anything left?
We got it. Book
All right. Say goodnight, Frank.
Good night, Frank.
Good job.